my precious little dragons, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here. So if this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. My name is Callista and I make videos about books that I hope are unique or novel. And I also throw some beauty stuff in there. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. Alright, so today I am going to give you guys my TBR because May is my month off. So I just finished my first year of grad school. Yay! It was such a mentally taxing year. My brain is mush. It's fine. I have a month to sort of rest, recuperate, relax, get my ish together, deep clean my apartment, because it is a hot mess. Oh my gosh, get my life together just in general. Hopefully be healthy. Yes, so month off. I have so many reading plans. So many. I am going to share all of them with you because I am participating in not one, but two readathons. And I was not planning to. It just sort of happened and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. And then there was another readathon and I was like, oh, that sounds fun too. And I'm like, well, now I'll do both because it's my month off and I can do what I want. And apparently that means reading a crap ton of books. So that's what we're doing. Anyway, I've already met my reading goal for the year because I just read so many books, mostly audiobooks because I listen to them on 2x speed and I listen while I drive, while I work out, while I do everything pretty much. So I've been getting through a crap ton of books. So even though I have the physical copies of a lot of these books, I'm going to be listening to at least a few of them, hopefully on audiobook, so I don't absolutely lose my mind. Anyway, so the readathons I am participating in are Asian Readathon, hosted by Read with Cindy, because if you don't know, alright, so if you don't know, May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Read with Cindy a few years ago created the Asian Readathon in order to support books that feature or were written by people of AAPI heritage. And so I wanted to participate in that this year. And I fortunately already had a lot of AAPI books on my TBR, so this is my hint from the universe to get my butt in gear and finally read them. And then I am also participating in the May the Force Read With You readathon, which is being hosted by 4 booktubers. So Break Even Books is the one that I found it through, and then Noelle 7 Pages, Max Reads, and Coffee Over Apples are also hosting the readathon. So I'm going to go through the prompts and what I'm planning on picking up for the 2 readathons. It is also Jewish American History Month, so I also have a Jewish book that I have put in there as well. So as far as I know, there's not a readathon for that. If there was, I think 2 readathons is probably the max I can mentally do in 1 month, because even though it is my month off, I do still have some stuff I need to get done. So I can't just read 24/7, even though I would like to, but I also need to, you know, walk the dog, and my mom's coming up to visit, so we're gonna go. I'm going to get out of the apartment. We're going to go to an Airbnb, just sit and probably read on the beach and do some hikes because it's finally nice in Alaska. Spring is finally here. The sun is out. And I'm going to take my pale butt that uses SPF 100 and go do some hiking. So, chill. And also read a lot of books. So, let's start with the Asian Readathon. So there's a few different prompts for this, and the Asian Readathon, you can double up on the books that you choose to read. So I'm also participating in a Discord server, Vintage Books and Wine. So I am also participating in that Discord server, which is hosted by Blake the Book Eater, who is another awesome booktuber. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing their read-along book, and it also is counting for a couple of the Asian Readathon prompts. So like I said, you can double up if you're interested in all of the many details about the readathon. I am going to link Cindy's video so you can go check that out. And I guess the other thing I'll mention is that you can double up on the same book for a prompt. Like, you can't use the same country or the same nationality for different prompts. So like, for instance, I could use the same Filipino book for 3 different prompts, but I couldn't then use a separate Filipino book to fill another prompt. I would have to choose another Asian country. So that's just to encourage more diversity in your reading. So let's get started. So the first book that I am going to read is the Vintage Books and Wine read-along book, and it is The Wolf of Oren-Yaro by K.S. Villoso. It is a fantasy book. So The Wolf of Oren-Yaro is an adult fantasy, and it is about the queen of a divided land who must unite her people even if they hate her, and even if it means stopping stopping a ruin that she helped to create. So it's an epic fantasy, and I'm excited to read it. It is the first in a series. I had not heard of it at all before I joined the book clubs. It's fulfilling two prompts for me. So it's fulfilling read any book written by an Asian author, and it's also fulfilling read any book written by an Asian author in your favorite genre, which I have multiples, but I just went with fantasy because that's what I tend to read most, I guess, even though I wouldn't necessarily call it my favorite, but you know, whatever. So the next is read any book featuring an Asian protagonist. So this is where we're going to get into the first one that's been on my list for a while, and it is the Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. Alright, so essentially the Joy Luck Club, it takes place in 1949, so it's a historical fiction. It's about 4 Chinese women who are recent immigrants to San Francisco, and they begin meeting to eat dim sum and play mahjong and just to talk. It follows their lives as they deal with a lot of different stuff. So it's about the connection between the women and then also between them and their American-born daughters. And so it sounds like it will just be an emotional, really good read. And it's been on my TBR for ages, so this is my cue to read it. The next prompt is read any non-fiction book by an Asian author. So the one that I chose is The Collected Schizophrenias by Esmé Weijun Wang. In this book, it is a series of essays written by Ms. Wang, who has schizoaffective disorder. So she writes it both for like lay people who want to understand more about psychotic illnesses such as schizoaffective and schizophrenia, but also for other people who have those disorders and just want to feel seen. So I have had this one on my TBR for a while, and you know, it's just, it seems like it's going to be a really moving book, and I am looking forward to it. Oh, I guess I can tell you a few of the different essays. So it says the essays range from using fashion to present as high functioning to the depths of a rare form of psychosis, from the failures of the higher education system and the dangers of institutionalization to the complexities of compounding factors such as PTSD and Lyme disease. Wang's analytic eye, honed as a former lab researcher at Stanford, allows her to balance research with personal narrative. So it dispels misconceptions and provides insight into a condition long misunderstood. So basically it's the whole point of The Collected Schizophrenias is to really help people understand that schizophrenia is not a single unifying diagnosis, which is still something a lot of people in the clinical psych community are still sort of like, there's a lot of stigma that exists in the psychology community as well. So yeah, so schizophrenia is, and psychotic disorders are generally not well understood, even by people who spend their whole lives studying it. I am looking forward to educating myself more with this book. Alright, and then my last prompt for the Asian Readathon is read any book written by an Asian author that's not US centric. So my book for this one is The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa, and it is translated by Philip Gabriel. So I've been wanting to read this one for a while. Part of what drew me in is just how absolutely adorable this cover is. Just kind of draws you in. It seems like a really comforting sort of book. I heard that it gets really sad at some points though, so maybe not super comforting, but it looks really comforting. That's what initially drew me in, regardless of whether it's actually comforting or not. But basically it's about Nana the cat, who is on a road trip with his owner Satoru, and so it's just side by side as they go through Japan. You get to sort of chronicle like all of these different things as they go through the different changing seasons and visit Satoru's old friends, and there's even a very special dog that forces Nana to reassess his disdain for the canine species. Books about like cognizant animals aren't usually my thing, but there's just something about the story that's just sort of drawing me in. Like it's just kind of tugging at me like, you're gonna like this. That you can tell because I bought the book never having read it. Feeling, just I have a feeling I'm going to like it, even though animal books aren't always my thing, which is weird given how much I like animals, but it's just when they center around animals. I don't know, I'm a weird human. So let's get on to the May the Force read with you. So this one's a little bit more structured, and if you want to know more about it, I'm going to link Break Even Books video to explain all of the stuff. So I have chosen to follow the Jedi Order as opposed to the Sith Order because I don't mess with the Sith. They're evil and stuff. Oh, why am I like this? Okay, alright. Anyway, your whole goal is to rise through the ranks. So you go from Jedi Youngling to Padawan to Knight to Master of the Order. So you read a book for each prompt. You cannot double up in this one, which makes sense because then you wouldn't progress as you're supposed to. You can also choose the corruption path, which some people are doing, which means you end up reading 10 books, which I am not doing. I'm not doing it. I respect the people who are, but I'm not doing that. And you can like go through the whole Jedi Order and then like read all of the Sith Order books and go from Sith Apprentice to Emperor. And whoever's doing that, I respect you, but I couldn't. And then there's also like, so there's light side prompts, dark side prompts, and neutral prompts. So I've chosen mostly light side prompts with a couple neutral prompts because anyone can choose neutral prompts. Oh, you can also choose the redemption path, which is starting with the Sith and going to the Jedi, but yeah, side the point. Than I am. And then there's the group book that everyone's reading, which is going to be An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I can very quickly go over that one, which I believe it's Roman inspired. So, yeah. Leia is a slave, Elias is a soldier, neither is free. So yeah, there's the Martial Empire, so it's Roman inspired. Yeah, I could have just read it. In this brutal world inspired by ancient Rome. The book with empires, which is probably why they chose it for the May the Force reader with you. Looks alright. Excited for it. So I will take you through the books that I chose and the prompts that I chose in order to rise through the ranks from Jedi Youngling to Master of the Order. Alright, so the first one that I am going to read is for the Jedi Council prompt, which is a sequel or book in a series. So I have sort of two options for this one, but because I'm a mood reader, so I like to give myself options, so I don't feel too confined. The first one is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I'm leaning towards this one because everyone has been talking about the Netflix show, and I don't want to watch the Netflix show without having read the first book. So I want to read this and then maybe watch the TV show over the summer. So I realize I'm a little behind the time. Anyway, so I think this is the thing with the Darkling. It has Alina Starkov now in the TV show. She's technically Asian rep, so that's cool. But from what I've heard, it's pretty vague in the books, so she could have been anything, and they just specified like the Shu heritage stuff in the show. I've been gathering bits and pieces, even though I literally know nothing about the series, the TV show, but whatever. So Alina is an orphan. There's the border wars going on. She has a best friend and fellow refugee. They're drafted into an army. She's whisked away to the royal court to be trained as a member of the Grisha, the magical elite led by the mysterious Darkling. Okay, cool. So we'll probably read that, but my other option, just in case I decide not to, is actually A Gathering of Shadows, which is the second book in what is the actual series called? It's by V.E. Schwab. Shades of Magic. I knew that. It's the second book in Shades of Magic. I read the first one last year. Still don't remember the look on it, but that's fine. Anyway, so might read that one. We'll see. Could do both, could do either. Probably won't have time to do both. Next prompt, which is my Jewish book, is the Force Vision prompt, and this one is a book set in either the past or the future. I went the historical fiction route because that's like it's one of my favorite genres. And this one has been on my TBR for ages, and that is Gil Carson Levine's newest book, A Ceiling Made of Eggshells. And Gil Carson Levine has Jewish heritage, and so she decided to write this book to sort of explore that. So it is, and I should note that this also does not take place during World War II, which, you know, if you're looking for Jewish books, a lot of times that's sort of the primary thing that you see is it's all World War II stuff. And recently I've just kind of, there's just so much trauma and heartache and yes, resilience and growth associated with the Holocaust and World War II, but like I feel like I've read so many of those narratives and so many of those stories that I'm ready to sort of take a break from it for a while because it just gets kind of emotionally taxing. I've just been sort of trying to expand. So like recently I read Milk Fed, which is modern. Now I have Ceiling Made of Eggshells, and there's a few anticipated reads I have that are coming out this year. like The Light of the Midnight Stars, and none of them take place during World War II, so, you know, there's that. Oh, also, Addie LaRue has Jewish rep. Forgot about that for a second. This book is about Loma, and she is from, oh gosh, can I pronounce that? Alcalá de Henares, Spain. She's going to be traveling with her Belo, her grandfather, who has the ear of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. Like, it just kind of follows her on these adventures with Belo, which are beyond the scope of what most girls in Spain are able to do at the time, Jewish, Muslim, or Christian. And it's kind of just charting her journeys with Belo, it sounds like. So I'm really excited for it. Gail Carson Levine has written some of my absolute favorite books ever. This is a middle grade, which I mean, yeah, Ella Enchanted and Fairest are both also middle grades. That's kind of like her niche, and she does it extraordinarily well. Just every book I've written from her, I connect with so immensely. I haven't read anything new from her in a while, so like, I'm really, really excited for this one. I was so sad because like I ordered it as soon as it came out, and my puppy was teething at the time, and so like it has like puppy teething marks on it, and she kind of destroyed the edges, so I was like kind of sad because it's like, it's such a pretty copy. I was like, oh. Next is the healing prompt, which is read a book from your favorite genre. So this is the one where I'm kind of mildly cheating. It's going to be The Wolf of Oren-Yaro, again by K.S. Villoso, because I needed to get the number of books down. So I'm kind of crossing over. It's fantasy. It's in one of my favorite genres. It counts. I'm going to be knocking out multiple prompts with that book. So next is knowledge. So this is reading one of the oldest books on my shelf. So I wasn't sure if it meant like oldest as in physically oldest, or oldest as in been on my TBR the longest. So both of these kind of fit that. Well, one of them fits both and one of them fits one. So the first one is Jane Eyre, which I have never read in its entirety, but this beautiful copy I got from my lovely friend Leigh for my birthday. I want to say like, oh gosh, we were probably in middle school. So I have owned this beautiful copy of Jane Eyre forever, and like I started reading it and then just like never finished. So I'm gonna start over from the beginning. And like I know the plot of Jane Eyre, at least the general plot, but I just need to read it. So I should probably do that this month. But if we're thinking more along the lines of like actually oldest, which none of my like really vintage books are here with me in Alaska. So of my other old books, the one that I wanted to mention as a possibility is The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. So this is an older work. It's also chunky. It's not the oldest book on my shelf, but it's up there. Actually, I thought about just pulling out my whole first folio, because that's my copy that's like from like 1946 or something like that, because technically that's like one of the oldest books on my shelves. I was like, I'm not reading the whole first folio this month. I'm not doing it. So, Jane Eyre, Mists of Avalon, which are both chunky in their own right. So the next one is also like a double readathon book. For the lightsaber prompt, which I believe is a neutral one. Oh yeah, Force Vision and lightsaber are both neutral, so they aren't light side. Anyway, so for lightsaber, it's read a book with your favorite color as the main color. So my favorite color is blue, and the specific shade kind of varies from day to day. It's not consistent like at all. So I just chose to go with the Travelling Cat Chronicles because I already told you how much I love this cover. But part of it is just I have always loved this really pastel-y with a hint of aqua sort of blue. Aquamarine. It's aquamarine. I've just always really loved that color. I also really love deep blues and electric blues and like all of that stuff. But like, I was just like, well, it's blue, which is my favorite color, so it counts. So we're doing it. All right. So then there is The Chosen One, which we already talked about. That's The Ember and the Ashes. Okay. Lastly, I did draw my like Jesse's deck of TBR cards just for like an extra, just in case I happen to make it through all of those books. I was like, so the card I pulled was How About Nah, which is a trope you dislike or hate. So I was like, well, I don't like miscommunication usually. So the one that I thought of for that was Wuthering Heights, which I started and then never finished, just by Emily Bronte, or I've also heard that Aisha at Last, which is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, has miscommunication, so I could do either of those. Or if I wanted to go the love triangle route, because I definitely think I hate love triangles more than I hate miscommunication. Apparently also Wuthering Heights, which I didn't remember that had a love triangle in it, but like, oh, well, I guess kind of. Anyway, so basically Wuthering Heights fits my prompt. Or, oh, I forgot to grab the books. The Guinevere Deception or Legendborn, which I own. Hold on. Both of these have been on my TBR for a while because, like, look how pretty. Look how pretty. Anyway, I've heard both of these are also really good, but apparently they both also include love triangles, which I hate. So will I love it? Will I hate it? Will I just be kind of meh? Don't know. Anyway, so I may or may not get around to these books this month. I probably won't. But I like to have hope. And who knows, I could just be in a mood and decide, you know, whatever, who cares about prompts? I'm picking this up. So there's that. And then, last but not least, and this does not fit any of the prompts because it was part of my TBR for last month that I didn't get to. I still have not finished To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I read one chapter of it last month, so. But my excuse was I read barely any physical books last month because it was almost finals and I did almost all of my reading entirely via audiobook or via ebook. Like, physical books and me do not get along towards the end of the school year. It's just too much. My brain does not compute. I'm hoping I can finally finish this now that, yeah, I'm hoping I can finally finish this, which I guess technically I could also use this for the favorite color prompt because it also has this really pretty shimmery blue. So, we're gonna say that one counts. We're gonna say both the Travelling Cat Chronicles and To Sleep in a Sea of Stars account for that lightsaber effect. Ooh, but also, like, it shifts. Like, you can't see it on camera. It has this really pretty sparkly shift to it because stars. I have been talking for so stupid long. I need to just shut up. I've told you about the books, so you're probably just like, Callista, oh my goodness, shut up. You're right, I will shut up. Oh, I should also mention, so, and I literally just thought of this. So one of the things that's sort of interesting about doing both the Asian Readathon and the May the Force Read With You Readathon. I believe it's Erica Lamode on Instagram. Erica Alamode, sorry. And she posted this really, really good series of stories about, like, her place as a Star Wars fan as an Asian American, because Star Wars draws so heavily on a lot of like Eastern beliefs like Buddhism, and draws a lot of its like character design and inspiration also from different Asian cultures. So she had this really, really good discussion on that, and so I would highly encourage you to hop over to her Instagram page and check it out. She also just does a ton of like really amazing cosplay, so I would just recommend that you follow her in general. So I just want to kind of to touch on that since I'm planning on doing both readathons this month, because Star Wars does draw a lot from Asian cultures, and so it's important, I think, to acknowledge that and acknowledge the original cultures that the inspiration came from. You know, because you can't fully, even in a fantasy, sci-fi-ish space opera world, you can't fully remove the cultural context that we're coming from as humans. You know, a lot of these, so it's just something that's important to acknowledge, especially with the recent rise of Asian hate that's been going on in the United States. So with that, I am also going to be linking a lot of resources down below. I've included them on a few of my other videos as well, but if you're looking for places to donate, if you're looking for resources or information, or if you're of AAPI heritage and you're looking for a few like mental health resources, there's also some of those. And Read with Cindy in her video has also included a lot of suggestions for charities you can donate to as well. Personally, the one that I chose to support, and I'm going to shout out right now, is the Asian Mental Health Collective. So the goal of the Asian Mental Health Collective is to normalize and destigmatize mental health within the Asian community. So they aspire to make mental health easily accessible, approachable, and available to Asian communities all over the world. I really love their mission, and so I chose to donate to them, and I just wanted to talk about them a little bit. I know my platform isn't really big, but you know, it's important to not only read and educate yourself, but also to do stuff about that education, and especially going into the mental health field. That's part of the goals of community psychology, is to support social justice, to support community mental health, and I believe that the mission of the AMHC really helps with that and helps with culturally competent mental health, which is, you know, something that's also very important, because you can't just always come at mental health and mental illness from this strictly Western perspective like a lot of psychology has done in the past, and that is fortunately changing, albeit very slowly. But I just wanted to sort of highlight them. I would, if you're looking for a place to donate, I would highly suggest the Asian Mental Health Collective. So if you want to support the AMHC, their link is included down below, along with all of those other resources that I mentioned. So anyway, that is all I have. So I'm not actually sure if I'll be able to get through all of those in 1 month, but that's at least my goal. And I want to get a lot of for fun reading done. I want to get a lot of filming done. I just want to really make the most of my month off before I start my research position summer, which, oh yeah, I guess I should mention, I'm going to be doing research work over the summer, doing qualitative interviews with refugees and people who work in the Office of Refugee Resettlement in my city. So I am pretty excited for that opportunity. So I am very excited for that, but it doesn't start until June. So I'm just going to sort of take the most of this month as a reset and hopefully get some sleep and a lot of reading done. So if you would have read any of the books that I've mentioned and want to talk about them below in the comments, feel free. If you want to let me know what you're doing for the readathons, I'd love to know. I'd love to know what other people are reading, because I'm nosy like that. Anyway, so that's all I have. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Stay magic, keep reading. I love you all so much. Goodbye!